I have to give massive, massive credit to David Productions. Undead Unluck was a series that, honestly, when I seen the PVs for it, I had the assumption it'll be a lot of action, a lot of great animation, and that was going to be it. Like, just entertain me based on just spectacle alone, similar to like a lot of stuff that's coming out of MAPPA right now. Just enjoy it because it looks really great. But man, after watching the first episode of Undead Unluck, I'm sold. This show just looks like a lot of fun. And adding on to that, I love the chemistry. I love Fuko and Andy. I think their chemistry is so fantastic. And I think that alone, give me the spectacle that David Production is doing, over the top bonkers animation and crazy stuff that Andy does, with addition to the idea that this chemistry is going to be so much fun. Just the two of them, essentially Fuko being the straight man, the one that's always like reacting to everything that Andy's doing, and at the same time, Andy's just a crazy nutball. But yeah, so my thoughts on the first episode being done by David Productions, unfortunately on Hulu, which I think that might be hurting its viewership, which is really unfortunate because this show, oh my gosh, is looking fantastic. But let's jump into it. For those that have not seen Undead Unluck, it basically opens up with this girl named Fuko, and it shows a little bit of backstory in the idea that at one point she was seeing off her parents, they got into a plane, and it just exploded. And jump forward in time, she's now 18 years old, and she's looking to die, unfortunately. And the reason why is because it seems like she's gotten into her head that she has this ability. They call it unlock, which essentially undoes people's luck. It like makes them into the negative so that horrible things will happen to them. So her being unable to touch people, never being able to see love, she's now just finished her favorite manga and she's like, okay, it's time for me to go. She's going to, unfortunately, end her own life. Well, that's when we have the appearance of a guy that is undead. He just shows up out of nowhere and says, oh, so you have that ability, let me touch you. And so he touches her, and yeah, bad things happen to him. He falls off the side of this cliff where she was going to jump into the middle of this train and just gets obliterated. But then flies up there as a head, regrows her body, and then tries to figure out how her ability works. That's the thing that kind of comes from him, is that he's so dead set on, I need to figure out how your unlock ability works, because it seems as if this undead person really badly wants to die. So he whisks her up her feet, runs around with her while people are chasing her, and tries to figure out what her ability is. Well, eventually this guy ends up taking her to some remote building where he's trying to figure out what her ability is. He figures, okay, well, if there's some sort of limits to this, maybe if we touch bare skin completely, so take off your clothes, and she runs off, and we find out from her losing her hat that she apparently has really long hair because she's never been able to have somebody cut her hair because, yes, if somebody touched her hair to cut it, they die. Come to find out, apparently he used to be a barber, and so he cuts her hair for her, which she really appreciates. But then suddenly, what would a world like this be without an organization that keeps these kind of things in check? This group comes in to capture this undead guy, cut off his head, stick it inside this capsule, and then proceeds to capture her as well because they've discovered that she has this ability to remove luck. Figures that would be a great ability for them to use to kill people. Well, thanks to him cutting her hair just recently, luck hits him again, strikes him as he's inside of this capsule, frees him, which everything starts to hit the fan. They go to capture him again and come to find out that he has this thing in his skull that he can remove, which will unlock 100 years worth of combat training that he has, and he just goes nuts. The leader of this group decides to take Fuko captive and said, okay, well, it seems like you have a lot of interest in her, so if you don't give yourself up, if you don't behead yourself and give your head to me, I'm gonna take her head off. Well, she still really appreciates what this zombie, that she calls him, this undead guy, has done for her, so she decides to rush out there, kiss him on the cheek, which is apparently this other secret to her ability, which gives him a massive amount of bad luck, at which point this meteor comes down and crushes the entire building they're in as she's fleeing. Which kind of wraps up things as this guy, this undead guy, which she names Andy, has discovered that it seems like the more personal the touch becomes, the more bad luck he can get, which could possibly lead to him finally being able to die because this meteor wasn't enough. To which point he decides that they need to have sex. Chases her around. Again, so my thoughts on Undead Unluck. I really, really, really love this first episode. I guess things from Fuko's perspective, it's obviously very tragic, this idea that this girl truly, truly does believe that she caused the death of her parents. It kind of gives us an indication that when she was 8, when she was seeing her parents off, they were going to go overseas, she hugged them a bunch, kissed him on the cheek. That was the secret that she didn't want to tell this guy. Kissed him on the cheek, and that created so much massive bad luck that they died. Now, the shot of the plane itself, which I'm guessing it's not indicating that Fuko knows about this, the brief shot that we got at the very beginning of the episode, it looks like something kind of shoots down and pierces one of the engines of the plane, and then it explodes, killing all like 270 people that were on board, including her parents. Again, she believes truly, I did this. I'm already getting the indication that, yes, technically she could have used her ability on them by kissing them and hugging them, and that caused something to fall down through the engine. But I'm going to assume that there's probably, we'll find out probably later on, that something else shot the plane, or somebody else was in there, or something like that. But yes, it's still technically really tragic. This person that believes that they cannot touch anybody, I mean, it seems to be the case. She cannot touch anybody, otherwise she causes some sort of bad luck to them. Now, I will note the idea that despite the fact that she believes this could be something that she believes truly because of something that happened to her parents. It could be simply that there is a certain type of touching that can cause this, and she just truly believes it's something that she's causing. Because technically, everything else that's happened in the episode, she has not caused. Yes, she technically caused the meteor, but that was through this guy, Andy. She's caused bad luck to him. It has never indicated that she's done bad luck to other people. I did have a thought that one of the guys that was holding on to Andy as he was inside this chamber gets hit by lightning, possibility that he was the one that was putting the handcuffs on her, but no, the joke was that he just got done cutting her hair, and it just had a pause before the lightning finally struck him, which was the bad luck. So I'll be curious to see if there's some sort of trick to it that she eventually figures out, or possibly just she now has a future because she now has somebody that she can be with that doesn't mind dying over and over and over and over again. But no, I think she's super cute. Yes, I'm with a lot of other people. I really did like her more when she had the long hair. At least just the bundle up hair. I'm just not a huge fan of the short hair, and it seems like anime, manga hates long hair. At least it's a story reason for it. I do think that the whole moment where he does cut her hair was super sweet. It's like that. You have this shenanigans that's happening. This guy's flying around with cut limbs, protruding blood and jetting around, and you have him touching her all the time, which is super inappropriate, but you know why he's doing it. He's not doing it for other reasons. Doesn't make it right, I know. But and in the midst of it, you have this like little wholesome moment where she's like, I literally can never get my hair cut, and then he cuts it for her. It was super sweet, which is technically what kind of draws her to him and wants to help him out. Andy, on the other hand, is super crazy. I don't know what I think about this guy so far. He's a crazy nut job. And okay, so they're already indicating this idea that yes, he obviously really badly wants to die. He's undead. He can't seem to die. Every time he does die, he's able to regenerate himself, or at least it just regenerates himself. It seemed to indicate the idea that he can control how he's regenerated. So, which makes you wonder why he just does not regenerate himself. Additionally, they're already indicating this idea that he has there's a reason why he has this thing in his head. I was assuming, based on the character design and what he is, this was the one case where something happened where it didn't regen. When I seen the arts and stuff like that, I was like, well, maybe this is a sign that she is able to harm him, as that something is stuck in his head, and that's what convinces him that she's able to do that. But no, this is something that he placed there that's trapping out memories, which is technically logical to the sense of somebody that has lived a long time. Yes, as you create more memories or whatever knowledge, sometimes old stuff gets kind of pushed out. So the best way for him, after living for so long, to retain all of his knowledge in combat is to, yes, cut it off. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but again, technically he pulls it out and it can just kind of regenerate itself. So it makes sense. But I'm sure that that's probably going to be where a lot of information is going to be. I'm sure they probably have some sort of plans for him as a character that's going to be a little more deep going forward. Possibly he has some knowledge of something in the past that he's locking away with that combat ability. But it seems like he indicates that, yes, he keeps it there so he doesn't lose that information. And then whenever he does untap it, he just goes nuts. So it's interesting. I'll be curious to see what else they have in there. My initial impressions when I seen the preview and I seen the synopsis and I seen a lot of talk about the series, I've seen a couple people saying that over time, this series has gotten really good. Like they got something in their story-wise that really does start to kind of develop, turning it into a really fantastic series. So if I'm already sold based on the first episode, again, strictly around the idea that I love the chemistry, and yes, David Production is going nuts. Animation being great, music being great, the voice acting's great. I love every single reaction that Fuko has to Andy. Just constantly like, what the hell are you doing? What are you talking about? That kind of stuff is great. Dying to a banana peel. Her going through this long backstory just to have it interrupted by him just going in there and groping her. It's just a lot of really goofy stuff that's kind of being thrown in there, and I really do love, again, the reactions that she has. Technically did it again with her long kind of talk about how she didn't want him to do that he's a better person, that he's just kind of cutting. And she freaks out like, what the hell are you doing? It's really good because why the chemistry I think works so well is, yes, it's that straight man kind of thing where you do have a characters being completely bonkers and other characters pointing out how bonkers it is, but it's more of an idea that it just seems like Andy doesn't have any sort of boundaries. He just goes at it. He just, no apologies. Okay, we need to do this. He does it. Like the whole thing with the hostage situation. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you want, he starts cutting. And her response is always why are you going that far? Why did you step over that line? Normally people don't do that, and you're just doing what exactly nobody should be doing. That's what's really making it hilarious. And yes, add into that, great character designs. I mean, honestly, there is something to be said about a show that just constantly keeps things changing. The perspective shots, just different angles, just different reactions and everything. It's just what makes this show visually so good is just the storyboards, the directing they're doing with this that's keeping the flow of where the perspective shots are and what they're showing, how it looks, constantly changing. Not like the style itself changes, but just keeps things moving, keeps things flowing, and they're just doing an absolutely incredible job. Like this show, you can't take your eyes off it. That's the type of show this is. This isn't a show where suddenly it stops and you're getting really plain, boring perspectives. It's a show that keeps constantly changing, and hopefully they can keep that up. David Productions is technically a studio that whenever they go crazy, they go crazy. And this is something that I'm hoping this series just kind of keeps it going throughout the entirety of it. A lot of fun. Really looking forward to more of this show. But yeah, massive hype for this one. I think this is going to go down as if this keeps this up and it doesn't just end up devolving into just nothing but action, I think I'm going to really enjoy it. Just keep that chemistry with it, keep the fun, keep the comedy kind of mixing in there with it, and I think it's going to turn out to be a fantastic series. If it has a great story to go along with it, that'll just be icing on the cake. So yeah, fantastic so far. Hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think out of the series so far if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does, and y'all take care.